Hi everyone, and welcome to Squirrel Pie Productions. My name is Tommy. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as DynamiteTrujillo. Welcome to episode 108. Thank you so much for being here. Today's a really foggy and cold and wonderful Friday in December here on the Northern California coast where I'm coming to you from. There are show notes that you can find for this episode in the description box below. That's where you'll find links to everything I talk about in today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. If you're a new viewer, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, a big welcome back. Okay, so let's see. This episode's gonna have quite a few things in it. Some announcements, some knitting, and some shop update stuff, and also an acquisition. I never have those, and I have one this time, and I'm very excited about it. So the first announcement is we are still running the Autumn and Sweaters make along and wear along over on Instagram. So it's the hashtag Autumn and Sweaters 2020, and you can use that hashtag in your posts or your stories to enter, and it's just photos of you wearing your handmade sweaters or of you making a handmade sweater. Any craft is welcome. It's running through the end of autumn, so it'll end on the winter solstice. And there's definitely still time. You don't have to finish anything. It's just participation and wearing the things that you've made. So check that out if you're interested over on Instagram. There's some really great stuff up in there to check out. I am also doing Vlogmas this year, so I decided at the last minute that I couldn't not partake. I was getting FOMO. I was watching everybody's day before and first day of Vlogmases, and I wanted to do it. So I'm not going to be doing a video every single day, but I'm going to be doing videos as I take footage and as I put it together. So some videos might be a single day and some might be a collection of days. So far, I have one video out for Vlogmas, and it's day 1 and 2. So if you haven't checked that out, but like Vlogmas videos, please do. It's the previous video. And I'm having a lot of fun doing that. I really like participating in Vlogmas and doing vlogs in general of that style. My next and last announcement is a little bit of a lifestyle announcement. I am going to be having another baby, so I just kind of wanted to let you all know. It's going to be my second kid. He is due in June. So I'm just past my first trimester of pregnancy right now. I found out very early through a blood test that we're having a boy, which is very exciting. We have a 2.5-year-old daughter right now, so yeah, we're stoked. And that probably, maybe, possibly means baby knits in our future for this YouTube channel. I don't know. We'll see. Baby knits didn't seem to feature very heavily in Lucy's babyness. So I'm not sure if I'll do a lot of baby knits for this new kid. Lucy's just starting to get to an age now where I'm feeling really excited about knitting garments for her more often. So I've actually got something planned for her in the near future, but so far nothing for the new baby. I did start a Hansel Hap, a full-size like baby blanket version of the Hansel Hap for Lucy when I was pregnant with her that I never finished. So I've been considering picking that up for the new baby, but that's probably something guaranteed I am going to make for the new baby as a blanket, because I knit Lucy a blanket when I was pregnant with her, and that is still something that she uses every single day. So I'll definitely be making a new blanket, but I don't know if I'll use Lucy's unfinished leftover blanket for him or make a new one. We'll see. So yeah, there's that. That's exciting. We're very happy. And with that, let's move on to some knitting. I have finished my Mazzy cardigan. So this is what I'm wearing, and it's also my first finished object. The Mazzy cardigan is a pattern by Elizabeth Smith, and I knit this using Harrisville Designs Nightshades in the Insomnia colorway. Now, Nightshades, as I assume you've heard about because it's a very popular yarn, is a DK weight Cormo yarn. and it's non-superwash. It's really beautiful. It's black in color with just like pops and threads of other colors running through it. That's kind of the basis of the line. My colorway, Insomnia, is the one that has some like olive green and kind of on the yellow end of olive green running through it. So I really love it. I love the color. I love how it came out. And this is it. So here is the front. It's an open fronted cardigan with this ribbed and cabled pattern running along the front all the way up around the back neckline. And it's knit along with the body, so there's no picking up, no finishing of that style. It is stockinette for the rest of the body. It's a raglan cardigan, and I love the length of it. It's perfect. I don't know, let's see. So it comes pretty much just past my butt, which is such a perfect length for me. I love it. It has pockets, but as you can see, they are very, very teeny tiny pockets. My phone doesn't even quite fit in here. It like sticks out halfway, so I don't know. My keys maybe it works for. I don't know. I just really, really like it. It's really nice and cozy and thick and soft. It's a woolen spun yarn, so it's very warm. And that is it. So I started working on this cardigan with 4 skeins of the Nightshades. It's a DK weight 100-gram skein. It was about 250 yards a skein, I think. Yeah, 250 in yardage. This is what I have left over. So it's not a full skein, but I took my leftover cake and I wound it back into a skein and put my last label back on it so that it stores all nice and cute. And I don't know how much this is, but if I had to, oh wait, I think I weighed it. I think it's a little less than a half a skein, probably like 40 grams or something. So I used about 3.5 skeins for the smallest size. And oh, this yarn is just so wonderful. I love it. If you've watched previous episodes, you'll know that I got a little bit sick of working with it for a little while, but it was temporary. You know, in the wintertime, your hands can get pretty dry, and when your hands are very dry and you're working with woolly yarn, it tends to get a little annoying. So that's kind of what happened, but overall, I really loved working with this yarn. I love wearing it. I'm so happy with the finished fabric. And it was a really simple pattern to make. It was really easy to follow. The instructions were super duper clear. Everything was so easy, especially since there was no huge finishing stuff. There was no like button band to do or collar to add on or anything like that. The collar band, it's not a button band because there's no buttons, but the collar is knit on as you go. So that's really simple. It's got the tiniest bit of cabling, but it's not like, I think it's not a proper cable because I think it's a 1 twist cable, and I think when it's only 1 stitch that gets crossed over, it's considered like a faux cable. I'm not sure. But it was a very simple cable to do. No cable needle or anything. You just kind of go whoop, whoop, whoop. And the counting for the rows for the cables is really simple. There's not a lot of keeping track to do. I will say that I did totally royally mess up in a couple spots on this sweater. Nothing so bad that I had to rip back and redo, but definitely some spots where I had to put it down and like figure out what I did and then pick it up later, including the raglan shaping. So this is a bottom-up cardigan, which honestly I don't love. It's not my favorite. I like top-down sweaters. I just do. Bottom-up sweaters are fine, but they're not my favorite. So this was bottom-up, and they're not my favorite just because I really like to be able to try it on as I go and decide on length as I go, because length is really important to me when it comes to sweaters, and it's kind of a priority, and it's just not very easy to be able to tell what the finished length might be with a bottom-up sweater. That's the only reason why I don't like it as much. But, so, since it was bottom-up, you do the body, you do the sleeves separate, which is a good thing about bottom-up sweaters, is you do the sleeves on their own, so you're not like lugging a whole body back and forth as you're trying to knit one little tiny sleeve. It's just like knitting a big sock. It's wonderful. So when you get to this point, what you do is you attach the body to the sleeves. And what I had realized that I had done when I did that a few rows in is I had done something at some point, some step, which I'm not going to go too into the details of, but I had done one step, one stitch off. So I had too many stitches on one side, two little stitches on the other side, but it was only by one stitch. So I could have ripped back and rejoined, but I really didn't want to do that because the thing also about bottom-up sweaters is when you're joining the bottom to the sleeve, or the body to the sleeves, you get to this point where you have the body and the sleeves all on one long cable. And the sleeves, I don't know, it's going to be hard to describe, but the sleeve is completely round and you have the cable attached like all the way around the sleeve with just a little bit of a gap at the bottom. And there's no stretch in that gap. So when you are knitting across those first few rows, it's like this. That probably totally doesn't make any sense. But because of that, there's not enough give in the underarm area to let you knit comfortably just straight across. So you kind of have to finagle your cord into like a fake magic loopy thing where you kind of pull one part out and you knit, and then you pull another part out and you knit more. At least that's how I know how to do it because I haven't figured out a better way. But that's really annoying to do, and I had gotten past that point and I didn't want to rip back and do it again. So I decided not to. I just did like a decrease here and an increase there, and it was fine. Pretty much the fear was that this panel was going to be like, one panel was going to be a little like that or something, but I definitely can't tell. It's one stitch off and it's not something I notice or feel when I'm wearing it, so I don't care. The other thing I messed up on was somehow, I know exactly what I did. I did the raglan decreases wrong. Not too wrong, just a little bit wrong. So sometimes when you're doing raglan decreases, they have you decrease at different rates for like the sleeve and the front and the back. And you're supposed to do it at a certain rate for like a certain amount of rows, and then a certain rate for a certain amount of rows. And I didn't do enough of these first rows. So when I got to the very end, I had too many stitches and I was like, what? But I figured it out really easily and I just replaced those rows at the end. So the rate of decrease along the whole raglan is off, but I mean, you know, I don't feel like it ruined the sweater, and I did not go back and redo it. I just fudged it again, and it's fine. I love it. I love this sweater so much. It's so gratifying when you finish a sweater and you're just like so in love with it, because that doesn't happen to me every single time. It happens mostly with cardigans. It really does. I'm definitely more of a cardigan person. Many times when I knit pullovers, I love it at first, and then I realize that I just don't ever wear it. I'm like, how am I gonna style it? I don't really know. I don't really have the clothes for it. But sometimes you knit something and you wear it and it's just perfect. And it like goes with your style and it goes over the clothes you already wear. And I've been wearing this thing nonstop. I finished it probably mid last week, and I've worn it probably about half the days since then. It's just perfect, and I love that it's black. I wear a lot of black clothing, as you can tell. And there was definitely something my wardrobe was missing, was a black hand knit cardigan. I'm super happy to have one. I'm also very happy that it's not like just completely solid black. I'm really happy that it has that little touch of kind of a hint of color, and that it's olive, because I don't tend to gravitate towards olive too much, even though I really like it and I think it looks good on me. I just don't gravitate towards it. I gravitate towards pinks, which I don't think look as good as greens do on me, but I just can't help it. I love pink. But I'm super happy. And when I bought this yarn at Stitches West last February, I spent so much time trying to decide, do I want this one or do I want the pink one? Because they make this yarn with all different colors running through it. And there's a couple different shades of pink and red. And I was so tempted to get the pink. But I decided I needed to kind of break out of my box a little bit, and I got the green. Very happy I did. I love it so much. So that's my Mazzy cardigan. I love it. I definitely recommend this pattern. If this kind of long, almost A-liney, kind of open-fronted cardigan is your thing, it's a great pattern. I love it. I'd also really recommend this yarn. If you've been thinking about trying this yarn, I would recommend doing it. It's such a great yarn. I loved it so much. I wanted Nightshades ever since it came out, ever since it was released. And I waited and I waited and I waited, because that's just how I do it. I'm not really an impulse buyer when it comes to yarn. I like sit on things for a while and I like really want it. And then one day I buy it. And I'm so happy I did. And I'm really happy I got to knit with it and have this great sweater out of it. I heard, I haven't seen it, but I heard that Nightshades is coming out with like the opposite of this. I don't know what it's called, but I think it's supposed to be like a white base or a cream base or something like that of yarn with the same kind of pops of color running through it, but on white instead of black. I'm not a white person. I don't love wearing white or knitting with white, but it's very intriguing and I really want to look into it. Okay, let's move on. I could talk about this sweater all day, but I got other stuff going on. My next finished object is a whale. So this little whale is a pattern by Susan Claudino. The pattern is called Wasabi, and it's a whale stuffy. I knit this using some hand spun that I spun, because I'm a hand spinner. It is Anzula Organic Merino. I don't know the colorway. It's a fiber that I got from Stitches West quite a long time ago. Spun it up. It was in my stash for a long time. I've used it for quite a few projects, including an octopus that I knit for Lucy. It's about a worsted weight, and I love it. This is going to be a gift for a friend of mine who is having her third baby in January, I think. So now that I'm showing it to you, I'm going to send it off to her pretty soon, along with this other gift that I got for her, which is pretty much my very favorite kids book that I've gotten for Lucy, and it's this book. I may have talked about it before because I love it so much. It's called A Book of Sleep by Il Sung Na, and it's just a really beautiful and simple kids book. I'm just like totally enamored with the illustrations. Oops, it's brand new, so I just cracked the spine. I've been like keeping it from Lucy so that she didn't do this, but oh well, whatever. Oh, I just love it. And it's just like really simple and short, and it's just a really beautiful book. He has like maybe 5 or 6 other books, and I have 3 of them. I keep buying them because I just love his books so much. There's a book of, oh, Snow Rabbit, Spring Rabbit is the next one that I bought. Also just really cool illustrations. And then the one that I bought most recently for Lucy is called A Book of Babies, because I'm trying to get her ready to be a big sister. But anyway, so if you're looking for a kid's book or a gift for someone who's pregnant, recommend. So anyway, the whale. The whale calls for, I think, worsted weight yarn. And that's what I used. I can't remember what size needle I used, but it'll be in my project notes on Ravelry. And she just recommends going down like a needle or two size from the recommended needle size. And that's pretty much what I did. I think I used a 4 or maybe a 5. And I did magic loop. It was really easy to construct. You start here and you do increases out, and then you do decreases along these 2 edges right here, and then you do these little tail fins attached, and then you do these fins by themselves and whip stitch them on. Now you might be able to tell that there's some weird discrepancies in this line of decreases and this line of decreases, and that's because one of them's a knit 2 together and one of them's an SSK. I don't remember which is which, but this one came out beautifully. This one came out with a huge ladder, and the pattern addresses that. She gives you a fix on how to tighten up the ladder, and I did that, and this is what happened. and this is not what happens in her illustration or picture of what's supposed to happen. What she says to do is to, like, you're pretty much running a needle through the stitch on either side of the gap, just over and over again, and you cinch it up, and it's supposed to come out beautiful. Mine did not. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't really care. I feel like I almost considered just taking it out and leaving the gap, but I decided that this looked better than the ladder that was there. And you know what? It's fine. My friend doesn't, she's not gonna care. She's not gonna judge. And also, I don't think her baby's gonna care. So I also did embroidered eyes like I usually do on stuffies. It calls for safety eyes, but I don't have safety eyes. I've never purchased them, and I kind of don't want to because you have to buy like 1 million of them, and they're like kind of expensive. Well, they're not, they're cheap, but you have to buy like 1 million of them. And I'm just not into it. So I always kind of do embroidered eyes instead of safety eyes. Even though I think safety eyes are freaking adorable, I've never done them. But that's pretty much it. It was a really, really easy pattern to make. It was pretty quick, and it's super cute. I like it a lot. It's a little whale. So that is that. Let's move on to works in progress. My first work in progress is living in a project bag that I made for myself. It has unicorns on it, and it's a drawstring bag. Inside of it is living my Cassiopeia Socks, which look like this now. So this is Moonstone Dyeworks yarn, which is my hand-dyed yarn company. And I'm doing a 3x1 ribbed sock, which is a first for me. I really wanted to try it. I thought it would fit a lot nicer for me than a stockinette sock. And I think I'm really liking it a lot. I think I might make more of these in the future. So here is the cake. This is on my Merino Sport Weight base. So it's a sport weight yarn. It's 100% superwash merino, and it's the Cassiopeia colorway. And what I did, since it's sport weight yarn, I altered my typical pattern, which is a US size 0 needle with 64 stitches. I did a US size 1 needle, and these are my Chiaogu interchangeable mini twists. I did a 56 stitch cast on using the German twisted cast on, a 1x1 rib, and then this is a 3x1 rib. And it's all the way around on the top, and then I did a heel flap and gusset, like I usually do. I like to do a really deep heel flap, so it's deeper than maybe would typically be called for in like a pattern or something, but I like a really long heel flap. And then for the foot, I'm doing stockinette on the bottom like you do, and the ribbing is continuing on the top. This is my Coochie Kopi Progress Keeper that Lucy constantly tries to steal from me because she says it's a green teddy bear, but this is a character from Bob's Burgers that I really like. It pretty much is a green teddy bear. I'm almost to the point where I'm going to do the toe. So I probably have another 5 or 6 rounds to do before I start the toe. I do wish I would have made them longer. Because it's ribbing, they look skinnier than your stockinette sock might look. And to me, that illusion messed me up. And I was like, this cuff looks perfectly fine. I don't like have a standard cuff length that I measure or count rows for. I just knit until it feels right or looks right, and I'll try it on, and like usually I'll try it on to see how high it comes up. And I have kind of a leg length that I typically like, and I can usually just tell by looking at it. But I was totally tricked by the ribbing, and the leg is a little bit too short for me, but that's okay. I like a pretty long leg. I like it to come up kind of up into my calf a little bit, but stop before my calf starts getting wider. And this stops slower than that, but that's okay. I have a lot of socks like this. I experimented with this sock length for a while, and they're gonna be fine. I just kind of teeny bit wish they were a teeny bit longer, but that's okay. So I'll start the toe pretty soon, and then this first one will be done, and then I'll have the second one left to go. And that is it for my Cassiopeia socks. I'm enjoying working on them. Even though they're ribbing, I wasn't sure if I would like it, but I do. I like it very much. I actually These have kind of become my bath time socks. When Lucy's taking a bath, I'll sit in the bathroom on the floor and knit on these socks, and she'll talk about them. And that's usually when she tells me all about what she wants me to knit hers, when she sees me knitting on these. It's very cool. So yes, I get a lot of these done in the bathroom. My next work in progress is living in another project bag that I made for myself. And this is a Ghastly's bag that I made for myself quite a while ago. And living in here is another project out of my own yarn. This is the Ramona Light cardigan, also by Elizabeth Smith, the designer of this cardigan. I have made the Ramona cardigan, which is this cardigan but in worsted weight, before. And I decided to make it in this yarn. So this is Moonstone Dyeworks on the Merino Sport base, the same as the socks. I have a theme in the dark crystal colorway. And this pattern calls for 4 skeins. So these are the 2 I have not broken into yet. And these are the 2 that I have. I am alternating skeins. And this is what I have. So far, I'm in the middle of a row. Why, Tommy? Why? And I'm at the beginning, so I can't just make you watch me knit till the end. All right, I guess we're doing this in the middle of a row. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So, okay. This is a top-down cardigan, which I love, and it's more of a traditional or standard, I don't know, common kind of cardigan where it's raglan top-down, and then you pick up for the button bands and the collar afterwards. So this is how it's knitting up so far, and I really like it. So that's the back. This is the front. This is my Tilting Planet Progress Keeper. I'm knitting this on a US size 5. These are my Licca interchangeable needles, the long set. I really like these needles, as I say often, Lee. And it's coming along. I'm almost to the end of the raglan increases, so I'll be separating for the sleeves pretty soon. And then it'll be body town, and then sleeve town, and then I'll be done. Well, no, then I'll have to pick up stitches for the button band and the collar, which I don't love doing, but it will be fine. I will do it, and it will be wonderful. Like I said, I'm alternating skeins, so since it's a cardigan, it's worked flat. So I just have both ends traveling up one side, and every time I switch, I kind of rotate so that the bottom yarn comes up over the front, and then the next time the bottom yarn comes up over the front. So I'm also always kind of switching my skein or my cakes back and forth. And it's not bad. You know, alternating skeins isn't typically everybody's favorite thing to do, but, and it's not my favorite thing to do either, but it's really not that bad. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really excited to have a cardigan out of this colorway. I love it very much. I feel like it's very me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This again is a really simple, basic, easy to follow pattern, and I think I'm really gonna like it. I have some black, just plain black cheap plastic buttons that I'll probably use for this, and I think it'll look pretty good. And that's everything. No new cast-ons this time. I've been poring over projects that I might want to start. So I've been wanting to cast on something new, including a sweater for Lucy. I really want to make something for her. And another sweater for myself, which I'll talk about in a little bit in favorites. But first, I am going to try and quickly go through my shop update info if you're interested. I am the dyer behind Moonstone Dyeworks, and I have a really, really exciting shop update happening tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is Saturday, December 5th, and it's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific time at moonstonedyeworks.com. It is going to be my holiday update, and it's going to be pretty big, and it's pretty special because I'm doing something I've never done before, which are project bags project bag and mystery mini skein kits, which I'm going to show you soon. I'm pretty excited about it. It had a lot of yarn for it, so hopefully if you see something you like, you can easily get it. And I'm going to show you right now just a few things that are going to be up. Okay, so first I'll kind of go through the yarn and the colorways that I'm going to have up, and then I'll show you my very special holiday special kits afterwards. So you've seen this already this episode, but I'm going to have some dark crystal on a couple different bases. I'm not going to go over all the bases that every colorway is going to be on, but I'm pretty much going to have sport weight, BFL sock, merino sock, stellina sock, Aran, and I have my non-superwash fingering weight yarn back in stock, so I dyed a bunch of stuff on that too, which I'm very excited about. I love that base. So dark crystal is going to be up. My brand new holiday color for this year, I'm very excited about it, is called Scrooged. And this is it. This is on the stellina sock base. And that is my new holiday colorway. Moonstone Dyeworks 2020 holiday colorway. I have also dyed all of my previous holiday colorways for this shop update, which I think is pretty special for this time around. So let's go through those. Oh, and this is Scrooged on my non-superwash fingering weight base. So it's a fingering weight yarn. It's 100% non-superwash merino, and it is a very similar ply structure to my merino sock and my BFL sock. So it's a 2-ply. It's very high twist, very springy and bouncy and wonderful, and I love it. So this is Scrooged on non-superwash. I have got my very first holiday colorway that I ever dyed for Moonstone Dyeworks, my first year of doing Moonstone Dyeworks. This is Christmas on Mars. So I'm going to have this available. And this one is called Frostbite. This is another very old school holiday colorway for me. And the holiday colorway from last year was Pine Cones and Holly Berries. So I'll have that back in stock as well. I have another 2 new holiday colorways. They're not like the exciting official holiday colorways for 2020. They're just some tonals that I threw together for this update. I did these mostly on the non-superwash base because I thought they'd be really good for that. But this one is Mistletoe and this one is Frostberry. So we've just got my kind of versions of red and green. This is kind of an olivey green, and this is kind of a magenta-y red. Or pink, I guess you could call it pink. Whatever, it's Christmassy, okay? So these are both on the non-superwash, but I'm also gonna have these available on Aran. And that is pretty much it for the yarn. Those colorways are gonna be available on all the different bases, so yeah. Now let's move on to the other fun and exciting things that are new for the shop. So I did some mystery mini skein sets. It's all on the merino sock, which is superwash merino nylon blend in a sock weight base. And each set comes with 5 mini skeins. They're 20 grams each, so it kind of totals to a full skein, 100 grams. And all the mini skeins that I put together for these were newly, freshly dyed for these kits and for these sets. There are some of my new and old Christmas colorways mixed in, but I also have some one-of-a-kind tonals and other speckles that I've dyed for these sets. There was actually one speckle that I'm not going to show you now because it's a mystery, that I actually really fell in love with, but I only dyed it on the mini skeins, so I think I'm gonna use a version of that for my next year's holiday colorway, because I didn't have time to dye any more full skeins this year, but I really love it. Anyway, so this is what the mini skein set is gonna look like when you receive it if you purchase one. I got some stamps with my logo on it, so I'm going kind of stamp crazy with things. And yeah. So this is the Mystery Mini Skein set. They're gonna be available by themselves, but also in a kit with the project bag. And the project bags are handmade by me. And I did as many as I could, but I'm not really a production project bag maker. And it was a little burny outy for me. You know me and sewing, I get a little burnt out on sewing, so I did as many as I could. I am going to show you a few here. They're all going to be listed individually in the shop because the fabrics that I used are pretty large print, so even across the different fabrics, each bag is pretty different because the prints are so big. You get like a different thing on every bag. So I just brought a few over to show you. I had some Gasly's fabric that I used for some of them. And one of the Gasly's prints that I had was Christmas themed. So here's one of them. Big Christmas tree with this fanciful lady. So all of these bags are interfaced on the bottom. They're all completely lined with this natural fabric. And they're also stamped on the inside with my logo. Look. And they all have the same contrasting gray fabric on the top and a drawstring. So this is one of them. Here is another of the Gasly's prints with 3 witches, and this one has a kitty cat. There are going to be a few of these moth spider web bags and a few of these red and white florals. So yeah, and they all have boxed bottoms too, so they're pretty much going to be a really good size for socks. The blue unicorn bag that I showed you earlier was the prototype for these bags. The only difference is that one is not lined. So it's a great sock size bag or one skein project kind of size. It's a small size. So yeah, that is what's going to be up in the shop tomorrow. If you're interested, thank you, and come on and check it out at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning Pacific time. Okay, let's move on to favorites. And in my favorite section today, I am going to talk about some yarn that I purchased, and I'm very excited about it. So, I have been wanting to try Elsa Wool for a really long time. And I got 4 skeins of their sport weight woolen spun yarn. They're 4 ounces a skein. It's 100% Cormo, grown in Montana, 350 yards a skein, 2-ply woolen spun sport weight. They have woolen spun and worsted spun yarns, and they carry all kinds of different weights, from lace weight, I don't know how big they go, at least till worsted, I don't remember. But I got 3 different colors. They're all undyed, so they mix darker wools with lighter wools and grays and browns to come up with different shades. But it's all undyed, it's all natural. I love it. It's all on superwash. It's beautiful. It's so wonderful and soft and squishy. So I got a dark, this one's called dark gray. It's pretty brownish though, if you ask me. But it's a dark gray and then a medium gray, and then this one is called like silver gray or something like that. And I got 2 of the medium gray for the body of the budding cardigan, which is a pattern I talked about a few episodes ago that I really wanted to make. It's a sport weight colorwork yoked cardigan. It's steeped. So like I said, I've been wanting to try this yarn for a while. I first heard about it on Eva of the Charmovitz podcast. She really likes this yarn and she used to talk about it. She doesn't podcast so much anymore, which I really, really miss her episodes, but I really love her channel. She really liked this yarn, so she used to talk about it, and back then I really wanted to try it because of her. It's been a while since I've thought about it though, and then I was watching the Thread to Mend podcast on YouTube with Taylor, and she, I think, showed off a sweater in Elsa Wool, or maybe not. Maybe she just talked about it. I can't remember. But it kind of brought it back to my mind, and I decided to look it up. And I decided this would be perfect yarn for that sweater that I really wanted to make, the budding sweater. So I decided to go for it, and I'm really, really happy I did. It's It's really beautiful. Oh, it's just like so soft and so puffy and airy and wonderful. I love it. It's, oh, seriously, it's so beautiful. It was really, really great working with them too. I placed an order for the yarn, but I got my shades wrong because in the pattern, the way that the sample is knit, and people do it differently, but I wanted to do it this way. It's like 3 different tones, right? And the lightest and the darkest tone are used for the color work, and then the medium tone is used for the body. And somehow in my mind I got that wrong, and I purchased 2 skeins of the darkest tone and 1 of each of the next 2 lighter ones. So that same night that I bought the yarn, I messaged them and I was just like, hey, I made a mistake. I meant to get this, but I got this. Is there anything I can do? And plus, like, the dark skein and the medium skein were like slightly different prices. So she messaged me back like within like 5 minutes. And it was nighttime. And said that that was fine. So she worked it out really, really easily. And she was really nice about it. And it was just a really nice exchange. And then she messaged me, I don't know, a couple days later or something, saying that the lightest skein, it turns out that this run was a little bit less than 100 grams. So if I wanted, she could like add to it from a different skein to get me up to 100 grams or just discount it a little bit. And it was perfect because this is one of the ones that's gonna be used for the color work, so I don't need the full 100 grams, so I told her it was fine. But just the whole exchange and all the interactions I had with whoever it was from this company. Is it Elsa? Is her name Elsa? I don't know. I'm sorry. But whoever I was talking to was just like so cool about everything and so nice and so accommodating. And I just had a really, really good experience working with them. Their website is like really old school. Like, think like, it just reminded me of going on the internet in the 90s. But don't let that deter you. It's a great company to work with. It's really easy to place an order. It's just a little old school. But the yarn is absolutely beautiful and I can't wait to knit with it. I am going to cast this on very soon. It's like coming up like right now. So I'm very excited to work with this yarn. And that's, it's Elsa Wool. It's beautiful. I'll link to it in the show notes if you're interested in checking it out. Okay, that is everything. Those are my favorites, are these 4 skeins of yarn. So I hope you're having a really great December so far. I would love to know what you're doing this winter. It's almost winter. It's not quite winter yet. Are you staying in a lot because it's super cold outside, or do you live in a part of the world where it's not winter, where it's starting to become really warm and your knitting is kind of lightening up? I would love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about what you are knitting or making for the holidays coming up. And I would love to hear if you're watching Vlogmases. Thank you if you're watching mine, but I would love to hear about it if you're watching anyone else's. I've been enjoying so many Vlogmases when I can. There are a lot of them, so if you have like a subscription feed during December of knitting podcasts, you probably know that it gets like overwhelmed with Vlogmases just every single day, and it's really hard to keep up. But I've been trying to keep up as much as I can with all of the ones that I love, which are too many to name here. But if you watch my Vlogmas, I do like to try to tell you about who I'm watching in my Vlogmas videos. So yeah, that's where you can kind of hear about what I'm watching. But again, I'd love to hear about who you're watching. I'd love to discover new ones, so let me know. Okay, like I said, I hope you're having a really great December. I hope you're making and crafting and doing whatever makes you happy. And I hope you're wearing your sweaters. And if you are, please feel free to join in the Make and Wear Along over on Instagram. I don't know how it works out, but it might be in the next episode that I draw for prizes for that. We'll see. I don't know. Thank you so much to my patrons over on Patreon. Your support really, really, really helps to keep this whole operation going. So if you're interested in checking that out, there's a link in the show notes below as well. It's pretty neat. You can win prizes and get yarn and stuff. Okay. If you're interested in the shop update, I'll see you tomorrow. If not, I'll see you next vlog episode or next full episode. Have fun and stay awesome. Bye.